going on, guys? And welcome to the Benches Cleared podcast, where we cover the best rivalry in all of sports. I am Jesse Gutierrez, and I represent the side of the San Francisco Giants, who won a really shitty 2-4 last week.
And subsequently did not make the playoffs. I'm Tyler Cohen. I represent the Los Angeles Dodgers, who I don't know what we went last week, and I don't really care. Because we're the best team in baseball going into the playoffs. It's number one seed. And that's all I got to say.
That's all that really matters.
Yeah, and I'm nervous. But that's okay. Going into the series tonight, we have Walker Buehler in Game 1. You know, I think it's just a thing that no matter how good the Dodgers are, I'm always going to be nervous come playoffs. Yeah. And that's just how it's going to be. But logically speaking, we match up with the Brewers pretty well because they don't score runs. So as long as the pitching can show up, we'll be okay. As you'll hear in the interview later, I think the Sticks just need to wake up early, and we got to take advantage of the starting pitching or lack thereof that the Brewers have, and hopefully not have to see Devin Williams or Josh Hader very often. And I think it could be a good series for the Dodgers.
Yeah, you guys have sucked at Josh Hader a couple times, and honestly, as an outsider looking in, I understand 3-game series, anything can happen, so you're a little worried, and I get it. But at the end of the day, there's virtually no way the Brewers are going to win. Trust me, I want the Brewers to win. I'm going to be advocating just rooting for the Brewers, but I don't see it happening. Yeah, I mean, second favorite team. All right. Yeah. Any team playing the Dodgers is my second favorite team.
Yeah. So, what do you have to say about your upcoming series?
You could suck a dick is what I could say. Fuck you. Let's talk about what happened last week. And it was depressing because, I mean, I was saying we needed to take 3 or 4 from the Rockies and then just split San Diego. And not only would that would have been way more than we needed to clinch. If we just would have went 500, split both series, it would have happened. But it didn't happen. And when it happened, the last game, the last third called strike, and the crazy calls that Rob Drake had, honestly, I was pissed and I was disappointed and all that shit. And it just can't happen in a do-or-die game. 27 missed calls. I mean, two of them that were legitimately, I mean, this is not an estimation. It was measured by metrics. 5 inches off the plate, and something that was like 4.5 inches off the plate for third called strikes in big situations.
Yeah, they were really bad.
It was really bad. And like I said, when it happened, I was all about how bad it was and talking about it. But at the end of the day, man, there was 3 games in that last week that should have been won. That the game was over, and there was multiple people's fault. I mean, Kapler for going with Coonrod, Coonrod for sucking 2 games in the last 2 times he was out. I mean, just not cashing in on stuff and so much shit that should have just – because a 500 – I mean, when you miss the playoffs by 1 game, right, you think of like the Trevor Gopplone saves and all that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, they had it. They had it gifted to them. That game where they had all those bad calls, the Padres literally gifted them 2 outs. You can't blame the umpires when you just didn't do shit. I mean, if it was like if they would have went 3 out of 4 against the Rockies and we're about to split the series with the Padres and the Brewers were winning 2 and that's what sent it over, then yeah, I would be livid and it's bullshit that we have the same record as the Brewers and we're not in. But at the same time, like now seeing where they're at, they just didn't deserve to be there.
I mean, everything kind of lined up for you guys to get that 8th seed.
Yeah, it was gifted.
Just blew it.
Yeah, so that's – and I should be happy because the season was beyond everyone's expectation except mine. I thought they were going to be there, and this is kind of what I expected. Not the way I expected. I thought the pitching was going to be a lot better and the offense wasn't going to be nearly as good. But at the same time, when it happens, it sucks. And I'm sure in the off season, I'm going to be like, well, it was a good building block, which it is. It's just right now I'm bummed on how they played.
No, and I mean, it is. Still, your first thing is, though, you want to make the playoffs and you want to push for that World Series ring. But once you take a step back from that disappointment, I mean, I think the Giants exceeded most people's expectations. They certainly exceeded
95%.
mine because I said they were going to win less than 20 games, and
it's kind of bullshit because it's
more.
what you said too. A couple weeks ago, you said, "Well, you're not going to get your Chipotle till the end of the season, to where you can eat your Chipotle because you won 20 games, but you didn't make the playoffs, so fuck you." And then I was like, "Nah, fuck you, we're coming," and that didn't happen.
What was our double or nothing bet or whatever? What was the
double or nothing? Was that the Padres were going to take the first seed. And to finish off this last week, we got to go stud and dud of the week. Tyler Anderson, man, really had a really nice game. Pitched the shit out of his start in the doubleheader against the Padres, and there's other guys I could have picked. But honestly, he just impressed me more than anything, and going as deep as he did and saved the bullpen. He really set stuff up for them to get into the postseason, and just they shit the bed after him. So I've gone after him a couple times, so I'm gonna give him love. I need to give some love to Tyler Anderson. Obviously, he was bummed that we gave him Dud of the Week one time, and just has been shoving ever since.
It's a motivator. People want to prove us wrong.
That's what, and then
our opinions are held in such high regard.
Of course. Why not?
Yeah, absolutely.
And hopefully this motivates the Dud of the Week into next season, because Evan Longoria is going to get the Dud of the Week. Hit under 200 the last week. Just he looked lost. His swing was off. His timing was way off. He was so fucking hot, and he was a big part of why they, that this fiery offense. But it just, when they needed him the most, he wasn't there, and it was terrible. And it wasn't just quietly bad, if that makes sense, like where everyone else is doing good. It was like he's middle of the order guy, and I think his numbers ended up being what you would expect, like the 260 and equivalent to what 20 bombs would be in the year. But he was just so hot. You were expecting him just to not be so shitty at the end, but that's one of the reasons why it cost him the wild card berth. So.
Oh, I thought you were just to say the World Series.
The World Series. We were going to win if we were in that shit.
Let's dial it back a bit. For the Dodgers, I don't have a stud and dud of the week. I got double studs. I got dub studs.
No duds. There's not one dud.
Nope. Because, see, the thing is, and you want to motivate people, you got to break them down and build them back up. And now's not the time to be breaking anyone down. So I'm just going to be building people up. So the
stud and dud of the week, or I guess in this case,
it would be stud of the week.
Oh, that's better. I was going to say stud and stud. So dub stud.
Dub stud of the week. We got AJ Pollock. And I think, we're going to get into it once the season's over on just season awards. But what a turnaround AJ Pollock made just for the season overall. But this last week, he's just been hitting out of his mind. And it makes me feel better going into the game today, going against a left-hander, knowing that AJ Pollock is going to be in that lineup, which is why we got him, so the lineup wouldn't be so left-handed heavy. He's been hitting. The other stud's Justin Turner. He's back. He's healthy. He is the core piece of that lineup. Without Justin Turner, we're hurting. He doubled his home run total last weekend in a game, hit 2 home runs. So he only hit 4 on the season, but the power is there. His stick's back. So with the healthy lineup, I'm pretty excited. But yeah, AJ Pollock, Justin Turner had a great week last week, so they get the dub stud of the week there. And now, welcoming into the podcast, we have Adam Rygg. He's Brewer Nation on Twitter, also a part of the IBWAA. Adam, thanks for coming on. Got a big series coming up. I don't know how you're feeling. I'm not feeling great. My stomach's already churning and feels like shit. But thanks for coming on. I know it's a tough time right now. So we appreciate you coming on.
Absolutely. Happy to be here. Happy to talk baseball whenever I get a chance. And as far as my stomach, part of it's nervous because it's playoff baseball and you'd like the team to do well. But the other side of it's knowing that the Dodgers won over 40 games, the Brewers won less than 30. So do I really have to worry that much? Like if we win, oh my God, and if we lose, well, we were supposed to. So.
Yeah, and before we get into the Dodger stuff, we're gonna so I could be a part of the party, so I can feel included and not like the ugly kid on the outside of the room. Let's talk a little bit about last week because we were going kind of back and forth as far as the 8th spot. It was basically in the Giants' hand. They shit the bed. Ended up with the same record, but some crazy. I mean, they couldn't have a 163 type game. How do you feel about? I guess my question is, how do you feel about the Brewers being in kind of on a technicality? That makes sense?
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, it makes total sense. It's a huge technicality. There's 16 damn teams in the playoffs this year. The postseason is enormous. I hope they never do it again.
Yeah.
If maybe one day they expand the league to 48 teams, then sure, throw 16 of them into the postseason. But for me, for my money, yeah, you don't really want to call it backing in because, yeah, they lost their final game. Yeah, other people had to lose too, but they did qualify for the postseason, and that's something to be celebrated. That's something that, there's a lot of teams on the outside, and the Brewers are one of 16 teams that have a shot at the World Series, and that's cool. So, yeah, the fact that it took the Giants losing, thank you to the guys who did not answer the bell.
Sam Coonrod, that's who you should thank. Sam Coonrod and Rob Drake.
And before them, the Phillies that also decided that they didn't want to play.
Dude, yeah, I can't believe how bad the Phillies fucked
I wanted to play the Phillies so bad because they statistically, I think, have the worst bullpen ever in a season.
Oh, God, yeah, it's bad.
I was hoping some form of miracle and they just slipped in. But, of course, the bullpen fucking implodes, and here we are.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I mean, I watched a lot of Brewers games last week, especially because my wife has a huge crush on Christian Yelich. So
Fair.
She was watching. She watches those games.
Handsome.
I don't know.
Not that handsome.
That's what I said. But then again, she married me too, so she doesn't have the greatest taste. But as far as we're on the same page, right? Like the 16-team playoff is kind of bullshit. It obviously positively affected the Brewers and the Giants. I expected at least a 500 record to basically be the ticket in. I was expecting it to be more like one. Obviously, there's no one game over 500, but 2 games over 500. So, I mean, how shocked were you when? I mean, were you like, I forgot how did it end? Did the Brewers game end first or the Giants game end first?
Brewers game ended before the Giants. Yeah, the Phillies had already lost, and the Brewers lost, and then.
Oh, okay. So were you paying attention? Did you see like the Wilmer Flores home run, then we got a little worried, or?
Oh, I was nervous. Yeah, not only former Brewer Wilmer Flores, who we all lovingly refer to around these parts due to the failed Carlos Gomez trade. He was never actually a Brewer, but we all call him.
I was like, did I miss something? Oh yeah, I do remember.
We all call him former Brewer Wilmer Flores. But the fact that he did that, and then I mean, Will Myers before him, and Mauricio Dubon came from our farm system briefly on our big club. So I pay a little bit of attention to the Giants anyway. Especially for Dubon, he and I share a birthday. I'm much older, but it's the same day, so that's always been something I've focused on. But yeah, no, I was watching the game, paying attention, and tickled pink, for lack of a better phrase. When I saw that last strike call was not good.
Oh God, it was like the whole 27 missed calls.
Yeah,
and like if it's borderline, I get it, and I bitched about it on Twitter. Like I was just as upset as everyone, and like I said earlier, at the end of the day, the Giants missed there's three games that should have been won just that week. So the fact that they're not in and they have the same record, I thought I would be pissed about that, being like, oh, it's bullshit because they have the same. They should do a playoff game. Giants don't deserve to be there. It is what it is, and I've come to terms with it.
Yeah, I mean, there's only so much you can do at the end of the day to try to, I mean, as a fan anyway, but I'm talking about the team. There's only so much they can do to try to get themselves in the right position to have enough break their way. And I didn't follow the Giants too closely this year, obviously, with nobody playing in other divisions. But the Brewers had so much go wrong for them. So many people that you just would have normally counted on just not doing well at all. Christian Yelich, top of the list, of course. But the fact that they were able to get the pieces together, add Dan Vogelbach late, that makes no sense that he was doing what he was doing once he came over from Toronto. Things like that all added up, and the pitching was dynamite all year. And, of course, then the last week, the Brewers lose Corbin Burns and Brett Anderson. So it's messy for sure. But, the fact that they're in is still cool. I may not buy it this year, but I'm still excited that the Brewers, first time in franchise history, making the postseason 3 years in a row. So that's kind of cool for Milwaukee too.
Yeah, you got to take it, take what you can get. And it's kind of like the tale of two opposites, right? A lot of things went wrong for you guys, but the only reason that we were supposed to be a bottom feeder team, but a lot of things went right. I mean, we ended up with going from like one of the shittiest offensive teams to one of the best offensive teams, and then just the pitching did expected, which is why they were a mid-tier team instead of a great team. So, yeah, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm a 3-game Brewers fan because I fucking hate the Dodgers. So we're on the same team now. Go Brew Crew.
We'll take all the bandwagon that you want to give us. And somebody reach out to me right away on Twitter.
All of San Francisco is with you.
With you now, man. So
yeah.
I feel like I have so much more writing on this series just because I'm a huge diehard Minnesota Vikings fan, and that season has been such dog shit. So I can't even say anything about the Packers. So I need this for multiple reasons. I need this series. So if we somehow blow
the Lakers.
Yeah, we have the Lakers, but I'm much more of a football fan than I am
if we can digress, why the Vikings of all teams being out there?
my dad grew up in North Dakota and Minnesota, so I was raised a Vikings fan. Every other team's LA, but just because LA's shifting football teams, I was raised a Vikings fan. So I've had, a good amount of heartbreak with them. So hopefully the Dodgers can alleviate some of that. But speaking of the Brewers series, you kind of mentioned it. You lost Corbin Burns, Brett Anderson. How are you guys feeling about that, just your pitching in general now going into this series and having to go up against such a robust lineup like the Dodgers?
Well, thankfully, the bullpen is still whole. The bullpen has been tremendous. The emergence of Devin Williams, the mostly consistent effort of Josh Hader. He had one extremely horrible game where he just lost his entire arsenal for some reason, couldn't find the strike zone, walked everybody, and that skewed his numbers, his final season numbers. His ERA was over 3.5, etc. Still struck out a bunch of guys, but I mean the bullpen's been good, and parts of it have been excellent. Devin Williams, in my opinion, that should be Rookie of the Year and Reliever of the Year. So we'll see how that all plays out. Tony Gonsolin was my second choice in my IBWAA balloting that I just turned in yesterday. So a lot of good talent in the series, but yeah, the pitching has been great. So I feel good about that on the bullpen side anyway. With the starters, it's dicey. Brandon Woodruff absolutely shoved in his last start against the Cardinals in an absolute must-have game. Went 8 innings in an eventual shutout. Just a tremendous effort from him. So that's great to see. He's got game 2 on regular rest. Tomorrow, or I should say, as you post this, I believe it's going to be on Wednesday. So game 1, Brent Suter.
We post on Wednesday, so it'd be today.
Okay. So in game 1, Brent Suter. That's a lefty, which makes the most sense based on everything I've done research on as far as how the Dodgers lineup stacks up, who they hit well against. Suter is a type of guy that can really throw off timing. He works super quick. Like if you haven't watched him pitch before, you're going to blink and it's going to be the 3rd inning. So be prepared for that. But I'm okay with where they're at. Again, nothing to lose. House money, all those cliches. But I'm excited to see what the team can do given the circumstances and against a team in the Dodgers that they've matched up with pretty well over the last few years.
Yeah. I think the one thing that's making me feel a little bit better has been the reemergence of AJ Pollock and what a year he's had, especially in comparison to last year. He definitely looks like the player that we spent the money on, and him being a right-handed bat, power hitter coming out of the outfield. I'm hoping that lines up well with tomorrow, but I think the biggest thing, and I don't feel like a lot of Dodger fans are willing to admit it, but I'm scared shitless. And it could have been anyone. It could have been the Phillies, could have been the Giants, but just the 3-game series, in my opinion, I mean, if you lose that first game, holy shit. All that pressure, it's just, and the Dodgers have a great rotation, but Walker Buehler only had one start since coming back from the blister. That looks good, so hopefully that holds up today. And then Clayton Kershaw, I know people want to, talk about his postseason woes. this season he's been pretty dominant, but who the hell knows? So
Yeah.
I'll be that Dodger fan that's, nervous and skeptical until proven otherwise. I'm not going to go out there and be like, we're the best team in baseball. This is going to be no problem. I'm not willing to do that.
No, that's fair. You gotta hedge your bets every now and then, especially when you've had as much disappointment as you've had as a Dodger fan. Getting the World Series and national pennant is great. I would love to see the Brewers do that soon, if not this year. But yeah, it's all about winning the ring. I mean, from my perspective, I think Clayton Kershaw, the biggest thing there is he's not gassed now. So many innings in the regular season, and
that's
now he's
huge.
So I think that's going to be big. The majority of the Brewers lineup that matters hits lefties better than they do righties. So we'll have to see how that goes in game 2. Maybe Brandon Woodruff can DH, I should say hit for himself because of the whole home run off Kershaw.
Yeah.
But if Daniel Vogelback is healthy enough to go, he won't start against Kershaw, so hopefully he has a nice game 1. But you're right. If you don't win game 1, look what happened to the Twins. They lost, their 17th, 18th postseason game in a row.
And they're going to ruin my bracket.
Because of an error.
Jesus.
Yeah. And
Fucking
they
Polanco, that
brought him out. Like, that's it.
motherfucker.
It's amazing. It's amazing. These 3-game series, it's better than a 1-game do or die, in my opinion, because that's really more baseball. But, yeah, the whole anything can happen in a 3-game series. Our beat writer in Milwaukee for MLB.com, Adam McCalvey, was on the radio, and he was pointing out, I think he did it on Twitter too, but he was pointing out that the Dodgers haven't lost 3 games in a row this entire season, but they've lost 2 a bunch of times, and Brewers don't have to beat them 3 times.
Yeah,
and that's the thing. That's the thing with baseball too. It's like they'll talk about, this team hasn't done, lost 3 games in a row at home all season or something like that. But when I hear that as a baseball fan, I'm thinking, oh shit, they're due. It's gonna happen. You know what I mean? Like there's like when the numbers are so skewed, where like a pitcher just completely owns someone. Sometimes I'm thinking like, dude, I think he's got to get him eventually, and this might be the ticket.
Yeah, I think
they were saying about the Twins in Houston today too. Sorry to interrupt you, but Minnesota was, I think, the best team at home this year, and the Houston Astros were, I think, the worst team on the road this year.
Yeah, worst team on the road. Yeah. So,
I think the big thing for me is, I just don't want it to go to a game 3.
Yeah.
If they put Tony Gonsolin in to start game 3, I would feel very comfortable. But I just have a feeling it's going to be a mix of him, Dustin May, and Julio Urias. And I just don't
sure, that's scary.
Gonsolin has been so great all year, and to his credit, Dustin May has been very good as well. But if the plan is, just dead set, Gonsolin's going 3, Dustin May is going 3, and then Julio comes in to clean up the back end, I don't like that. I think give the kid the ball, see what he can do. But I'm hoping it doesn't have to come to that. And then I hope the next round we can just set, the starters are going to be Buehler, Kershaw, Gonsolin, and May, and call it a day. So that's why
eat some hay, lay by the bay. What do you say?
I just may.
I take
it for
honestly,
breakfast.
Yeah, I take it looking from the outside in as I feel like the Dodgers are going to take game 1. I think the Brewers have a huge chance to take game 2 because, we don't know exactly how Buehler's feeling with that blister.
No,
how it's going to act up.
Buehler's pitching today. He's pitching game 1.
He was in game 1.
Fuck me. Okay, well, I still take them in game 1 because the Brewers don't have their number 1 guy.
So now what's your scheme for game 2? Now what's your reasoning?
What I'm trying to say is the Brewers' number 1 is going game 2. Woodruff is going game 2, so that's their best chance. I feel like I don't want to say anyone the Dodgers put out in game 1 is a penciled win, but I think between Buehler and Kershaw, either one of them, first who they're facing, I would take the Dodgers in game 1. I think the Brewers have a solid chance at game 2 because of who they have on the mound. And in game 3, anything can happen. I mean, Gonsolin can throw 9 innings shutty. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, he could get rocked because of his lack of postseason experience, and just it gets to him. And that's I don't know.
Yeah, and that's why
it's going to be insane.
It's so important to win game 1, and more importantly, we just have to be from the get-go. The sticks have to show up because that's going to be the weakness that we have to expose is the starting pitching. Because that bullpen, has been good. And like you were saying with Williams and Hader, you don't want to be playing from behind, having to face those guys in the 7th, 8th, and 9th.
No, you do not.
Yeah. That's the Brewers' strong suit. The biggest, I guess, flyer I would say about this whole postseason is no one's seen anybody. I mean, if you've never seen Kershaw all year, you haven't seen Walker Buehler an entire year. I feel like this postseason, obviously minus what the Yankees just did to Shane Bieber, I feel like there's not going to be a lot of offense because it's all going to be the first time seeing guys. So I don't know. I feel like it's going to come down to like what happened in the Twins game where, the Astros took advantage of an error. I think that's the thing that's going to win games. It's not going to be a juggernaut. I mean, we also thought that pitching was going to be way ahead of hitting before the season started, and we don't know. But that's where I'm leaning.
Yeah, I mean that's been the case in the National League Central, the American League Central, both Centrals, all season long. I mean, there's been talk about Shane Bieber and Trevor Bauer as the Cy Young Award winners, most likely, or maybe Kenta Maeda and Yu Darvish and everybody from the Central. But at the same time, you got to look at quality of opponent, and maybe it's a little bit chicken and the egg. Maybe the offenses were so down in the Central because they've had such good pitching. But I'm going to bet more so that it's some hitters just never got going. Javi Baez, Christian Yelich, Chris Bryant, the list goes on throughout the divisions, that guys that just never got it going this year. And I think that's more the case that the pitching was very good at keeping down the hitters, scuffling or not. But, I mean, I voted for Jacob deGrom myself for National League Cy Young, and I think I put Bauer third on my ballot.
Really?
I want to say I put Dinelson Lamet second. I'm trying to remember now.
What made you put Bauer so low? Just because the opponents?
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, he was great at executing where he should have exexecuted. It's not like he was Adrian Hauser.
In that ballpark too, though, man. I feel like that's pretty special.
And I won't be mad if he wins, and I expect him to win, to be honest. But personally, it's one of the things I looked into a little bit deeper was the quality of the opponent that he had to face and what that did to his statistics. There's an article on Fangraphs. Jonathan Judge is the author. He really dives into a stat that they've got called deserved runs created plus for pitchers based on quality of opponents and things like that. Not to get too sabermetric-y on you, but it kind of goes through how Aaron Nola probably was more valuable and had a better season than Trevor Bauer because of the quality of the Eastern teams offensively. So, and again,
which is crazy because, I mean, if you think about it, as far as we don't look at numbers and you just think of names, right? You think of a lineup with Anthony Rizzo, Javier Baez. I mean, like, that's a powerhouse line. You even go to, and that's what's the most shocking part to me about the Reds, that their offense wasn't that great when you have Mike Moustakas, Nick Castellanos, like all those big dudes, and they just didn't do that much. I mean, I think I would sway kind of the opposite of what you're thinking, but I mean, it could go either way, Right. So like, who knows? There's honestly no way of telling who's right. It's just all based on what you think, I guess.
Yeah, and if Trevor Bauer does this whole thing where he's going to do 1-year deals and he's going to be a free agent after this year, if he wants to come to Milwaukee for a year,
try it out.
He's coming home. He's coming home. I used to play against Trevor Bauer in Little League, so he's coming home. I hope to God he does.
And that's honestly, that's such a crazy experiment to me. Like I feel like it's what the pitcher is. It's fucking genius. Yeah. As far as if you want to really maximize your money, because guys are willing. I mean, teams are really willing to pay an extra $10 million if it's just a 1-year deal. Yep. So if he does that over 5 years, he would get the same amount of money over like if he got a 10-year span, because the AAV would be a lot lower.
Well, and especially if a team is willing to actually let him pitch every 4th day instead of 5. Yeah. I mean, the value there is crazy. If he continues to do what he's doing, I mean, I think
a team might give him 40 next year. A 1-year deal? I don't think that's crazy. I mean, I think they might. Maybe. They said there's no such thing as a bad 1-year deal. So
hey, the Dodgers have all the money in the world, so I don't care.
That's true.
If they cost them $50 million, I don't give a shit. If it wins us a World Series, I don't care.
Wouldn't surprise me if he ends up in LA, but on the Angels, because not only do they supposedly have a whole bunch of money, and Mike Trout just came out and said, hey, I'm really mad about how little we're doing. And if they've got if Shohei Ohtani ever pitches again, and they've got a guy who wants to go every 6 days, maybe they can figure out with Bauer a way to make that rotation work with just 5 guys. Who knows?
That's not a.
Yeah,
I just
still,
think
still
I
think
feel like
the Angels will
are
be
cheap.
bottom of the barrel. They'll never figure it out.
I feel like they're cheap.
Career.
They're cheap-minded. Like they'll get the one big free agent, like the Anthony Rendon, the Albert Pujols, and that sort of thing. But when you look at they basically traded away one of their top pick in I think 2018 to the Giants to take care of a $10 million contract to Zach Cozart. They do stupid shit to save money. So I just feel like they're not. I don't know. I feel like they're kind of cheap to build around Trout. They'll get the one guy and spend money, but everything else is we're not going to shell out money. I don't think they're going to invest in that bullpen. I don't think they're going to invest too much in that starting rotation. They might get a one guy, but that's it.
I'm with you on that, and they need a lot of help, and that's why the trade with the Dodgers to bring it back to benches cleared. I mean, why didn't they just go right? Why didn't they just go through that deal with Stripling, right? That they were going to get, and then back out of it because
they're pride.
Yeah, and the Red Sox were taking too long. Gratterall or the Twins were or something.
Yeah,
but yeah, it's ridiculous. Artie Moreno
is an idiot.
Yeah,
exactly, and that's what I'm saying. It's just you're not investing in your product, and I think it's really stupid because I mean, and I hate to say it doesn't make sense. I'm saying it because obviously they're buying the one guy ticket, but they're not getting the mid-tier guys to fill out the rest of your roster. You're expecting Mike Trout, Anthony Rendon, and Albert Pujols just to get you so many runs that no one gives a fuck about your starting pitching. The
best part about this is the Jock Peterson trade not happening really helped the Dodgers because depth is everything this year. I mean, obviously this was before COVID really started going rampant, but thank you, Artie Moreno. I'm stoked that didn't happen. I mean, we ended up trading Ross Stripling, but I like what we got back more than what we would have got in the deal with the Angels, and we would have been giving up Jock Peterson. So,
yeah, it's weird how that works out. There's so many trades in baseball that don't happen, and then the thing that happens next is way better. Yeah, Milwaukee's got a handful of those. Most recently, the Carlos Gomez thing we mentioned before with Wilmer Flores.
Yeah, exactly.
Trade falls apart. Then he goes to Houston, and we get Josh Hader and Adrian Hauser, who's been starting, hit or miss a little bit this year. Domingo Santana, who helped out for a while. Brett Phillips, who we ended up flipping. So it was a lot of good, way better than, Zach Wheeler pitched well this year, I think, but he was hurt for a long time, kind of building back up. Again, not to tangent too hard, but yeah, it's amazing how often that happens.
Yeah. So getting back to the 3-game series, I mean, I'm pretty sure I already know what you're going to say. So what is your prediction for this 3-game series?
You want with the heart or with the head? Because
we'll go
down on both.
Heart. We'll go heart first because I know what you're gonna say, but then we'll go with logic after that.
I mean, the heart wants a sweep. The heart expects a heartbreaking loss in Game 3 to a degree based on the 2018 NLCS. There's old wounds there. Running down gappers, that shouldn't be caught at the warning track with amazing catches.
I love Chris Taylor.
Yeah, I hate Chris Taylor. Things like that just stick with you a little bit. And then the Dodgers, my uncle, my late uncle, he passed away 3 years ago, huge Dodger fan, ironically from North Dakota as well. That's where my father's family is originally from. But his boys
you guys are related.
It wouldn't be that's surprising.
There's no one else in North Dakota, so.
But my cousins are huge Dodgers and Vikings fans too, which is funny that you were saying all that. But
man, we should have got them on the podcast.
They're available. They're both singers, good voices.
They could just make me feel better and be like, it's okay.
Just talk shit about Kirk Cousins.
Are going to lose, but
right.
Dog.
Yeah, they are defeatist Vikings fans, but they love the Dodgers. But,
me too.
No, I think that the analytical non-fan hat, trying to look at this objectively as possible, I don't see how the Brewers win the series. I want them to, and they could. There's ways to do it. There's pathways to do it. It starts with a strong start from Brent Suter, rather. One of our local beat guys a number of years ago called him Brooks Suter, and that's kind of always stuck in their brain. But anyway, yeah, Brent Suter, the Raptor, if he comes out and does what he is capable of doing, there's a pathway there. The problem again, objectively, is that the Brewers have not scored runs very well at all this season. They had a 19-run game and an 18-run game, and that was like 29% of their runs for the entire season in those two games. So many times they're 0 or 1 runs. They've won a couple of those 1-run games, but too often they're just not scoring enough. And against a team like the Dodgers, again, your bullpen is what it is. Your starting pitching has, Buehler and Kershaw are nothing to not be scared of. You have to respect those guys. So yeah, it's ugly. I'm enjoying the fact that we made the postseason. I'm enjoying the fact that we had baseball in 2020. We made it to the postseason, here and with everything going on. But yeah, it's house money. Like I said before, just watch the games, enjoy the games, and if they happen to surprise everybody, then hopefully the league never does 16 teams again.
Yeah. Well, but I think that's the biggest thing about baseball, though, is
just happy to be here.
Every team really kind of has a chance. Like you were saying, there are ways for the Brewers to win. And with that in mind, my prediction is the Dodgers are going to win in 3, because I think game 2 is going to be tricky because Woodruff can pitch really well against the Dodgers. So, I think the big thing is, like I said before, the sticks need to show up early, and hopefully the Brewers just continue what they've done all season, just not score runs, and we can lock it up. So I'm going with 3 games.
We're really good at that.
I think you and I are going to be in the same position all 2 or 3 games, depending. Just not feeling well. It's not going to be fun. It's just going to be – it is what it is. And hopefully the Dodgers come out with a win. But
well, just remember, we've got secret weapon Eric Lauer on staff. So we made the Dodgers' life really hard the last couple of seasons when he was with the Padres. So hopefully that worked out in his favor.
But yeah, thanks again for coming on, man. We always like to end off with what we like to call slow pitch questions, kind of like a rapid fire, but we're gonna press you if you come out of pocket on something. All right, so if you were to hit a home run off anyone or strike someone out, who would that be? You can do both. One, it's your time.
Current players.
But it can be past players too.
Yeah.
Okay. It would be exceedingly cool to stand in against John Smoltz. He was my favorite pitcher. Him and Dave Stewart are my 2 favorite pitchers of all time, and I wouldn't want to stare down Dave Stewart. So John Smoltz would be cool to try to take deep. And then as far as striking somebody out, Rob Neal's my favorite player of all time, but I don't think I could get him out. So in order to have a chance, maybe I go with a high strikeout guy like Rob Deere, Brewers power legend. That'd be kind of fun.
Yeah, that'd be nice. What about favorite high school jam?
Favorite high school jam?
Yeah, like the song that you were most into in high school.
Right. God, so long ago now. I was a big Boyz II Men fan back then. Still kind of am.
No.
Yeah.
I don't mean to be profiling, but I honestly would not expect that out of you.
Oh, I thought you were saying no, like no to Boyz II Men. I was like,
oh hell no!
What the fuck?
Oh hell no! Dog? I got a soul and a heart. Why would I not like Boyz II Men?
So maybe I think Motown Philly was before I was in high school, but that whole 2 album that was right in my wheelhouse back then.
Motown.
That's probably the best answer we've ever had, honestly. What walk-up song? What would your walk-up song be?
That's an easy one. Number One by Nelly. The opening little it's perfect for like strolling to the plate, and it just gets right into it about how I'm the best. You can't tell me any different.
We used to play that song in the locker room in high school for football games.
Yep.
Shit got me pumped. Not gonna lie.
That's a good one.
Got me pumped.
Yeah. Go to favorite place to eat out.
There's a local spot here just north of downtown Milwaukee called the Highland House. Mm-hmm. I'm a big fan of that. It's Mexican-American kind of cuisine, but they got a loyalty program, and they got free chips and spices, in-house spicing. It's fantastic. So yeah, it's my easily favorite spot.
Well, if you're ever in California, we'll have to take you to a good Mexican spot because we get pretty close to authentic out here. And free chips and salsa is just like pretty much every Mexican restaurant out here. So that's I guess that's just privilege. Next would be go to dessert. It's always a.
I'm playing. my favorite dessert is just straight up vanilla ice cream. But if I'm out at a restaurant, I'll try to get it with maybe a little apple crumble on top, something like that. But I'm an ice cream guy.
I'm glad you said something about Boys to Men, because that just you were like all time high on Boys to Men, and just you best dessert, and you're gonna go with apple.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, that apple's on your vanilla ice cream. I mean, if it was a caramel apple, then maybe.
No, it's like a fried ice cream. Fried ice cream with the apple crumble,
What's your favorite dessert? Show off?
I think it would be impossible to pick one. That's my. I mean, I know every fat guy has
answer. I don't like it.
I thought we had to pick something. Yeah.
Oh, I mean, one thing I'm really into right now is cookie sandwich ice creams from Cold Stone. You customize it. You put cheesecake ice cream with graham cracker on the sides. Incredible.
Yeah, that's pretty
big Disneyland guy.
Normal. That's pretty normal.
Chocolate covered apple. Oh, it's so good. If you could roast yourself from anything that you were into, you can be from high school, any time in your life, what would that thing be?
I guess I'll keep it sports related to not have to think too deeply, but I was born in Texas. I was a Dallas Cowboys fan for a long time, and their rivalry with the Packers, it doesn't sit well with most people up here in most families.
That's pretty good.
I have a question.
Fire it up.
Why is Aaron Rodgers so overrated?
Well, he's not.
Statement, I guess.
I don't know. He's crushing it this year again. He's got the playbook he trusts finally. Doesn't have to question the coach every 2 seconds. So things looking good so far.
All right, a real question.
So the shit is where you said, I have a question for you. Fuck you. What's your reply to that?
This is a real question. What's it like to win a Super Bowl? Is it nice? Does it feel good?
It's super fun. Yeah. The fact that
everywhere.
You only win 2 Super Bowls with Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers as your quarterback for half a century. You only win 2 out of those. That sucks, but they do have the rings. So
yeah, well, at least Brett Favre didn't throw an interception when you were in field goal range during the NFC Championship.
This is not Detroit, man. This is the Super Bowl. Yeah. We know that call.
Yeah. Well, it was a pleasure, I guess.
I guess.
Yeah.
Right up until you made it awkward, it was a real pleasure.
I mean, it's
right until you just went for the apples on the ice cream, it just went all downhill from there.
It's like I have so many open wounds all over me, and it's like you got the Viking right there, you got the Dodgers right there, and you rip those fucking wounds off.
Yeah, you kind of broke my heart too, but I mean, we didn't deserve to be there anyways. But that's fine.
I saw your tweet. I saw your tweet during the last game. F the Brewers, F the Padres. Oh, I assume it was your tweet.
Oh, yeah.
It definitely wasn't mine. Last time I sat down and watched a Brewers game was when Trent Grisham ruined the 2019 postseason.
What tweet are you talking about? I tweet a lot, so.
Yeah, it was during. It was something about. At least I'm with the kids that aren't trying to not win today, or we get to play the team that has nothing to play.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's another thing too. The Padres literally gifted us 2 outs. They didn't want to put Trent Grisham in, and they didn't want to put who else was on the bench. I forgot who. And the last 2 times the pitcher was in the order, the pitcher hit and literally didn't swing the bat. 1, 2, 3. So, like I said, I can blame the umpires for that game, but at the end of the day, Giants should have won.
Let's just put it this way. Both of you don't belong in the postseason. So
that's true.
Well, hopefully,
hey, the funniest thing is though is Bruce being in there. If they knock you out, dude, that's just the funniest thing in the world.
I already have a plan. If they lose, it's 170 miles down to the Coronado Bridge in San Diego.
No.
It's 6 feet shorter than Golden Gate Bridge, so. Yeah, now do you want the Dodgers to lose?
Go Dodgers?
That's what I thought.
And to end on that morbid note, Adam, thanks for coming on, man. And hopefully there's more matchups and other playoffs and maybe some off-season stuff we can get on and to have you back on sometime.
Anytime, guys. You got my contact info, and happy to talk baseball, like I said, whenever I get the chance. So.
And now to the fuck you of the week. This one's going to go out to a Mr. Jackass, Eric Rowe of Houston, Texas. He Eric Rowe has some kind of jackass, dumb fucking radio show in Houston, I guess, that other idiots in Houston listen to, because Houston's never produced anything good besides Ross Stripling. It's one
They
thing.
got some good music out there.
Nah.
I think I can imagine.
No. Everything. I've been to Houston a few times, and it's one of the shittiest places I've ever been to. It's one thing to defend the Astros before, like when there was notions of them cheating.
Mm-hmm.
It's one thing just to have such blind loyalty to just not admit what happened was wrong. And then to try to compare, this jackass is comparing Manny Machado stealing signs from second base in the 2018 NLCS to relaying signs live from a camera to a TV, relaying to the hitter with a trash can. Everyone
It's just crazy.
Anything about baseball knows.
Exactly.
You steal signs from second base. That is part of the art of baseball. That is something that makes it such a special sport.
That's why they change signs. That's why you change signs.
Right.
If you have a camera, doesn't matter how many times you change signs, you got the feed. You got it.
Yeah, right. So I'm going to put this on the record. I don't think it's ever going to happen, but if it does, if the Dodgers were ever caught up in such a scandal like this, I'm going to be fucking mad. I'm not going to sit there and defend them. I'm going to be fucking angry and acknowledge what they did was fucking wrong. Not just this blind loyalty.
Yeah.
So, fuck you of the week goes to him. It also goes to Jet Reddick just because I like talking shit about Josh Reddick and love seeing her defense. But also, Mr. Eric Jackass Rowe with his 13-year-old insults, talking about followers on Twitter as if that makes his argument any stronger. So, big fuck you of the week to him. Fuck you, buddy. You don't know what you're talking about. Go.
Brought to you by Aubrey Huff.
Yeah.
Fuck that guy. You can quote me on that.
Yeah.
I don't understand I mean, no one's telling you to switch teams, right? Like, you're going to be a fan of that team continually. That's your team. I get it,
Absolutely.
but you can criticize your own team.
Yeah, that's
Like,
what
you
makes
can be
a
like,
real fan.
what they did is bullshit.
Yeah, a real fan criticizes their team when they need to be criticized. If the Dodgers ever did that, I'd be pissed, and I would acknowledge what they did is wrong, and I would also acknowledge that I have such emotional attachment to this team that I will still support them, but what they did was wrong.
Exactly. And when the first report came out, and then a lot of people were like, well, every team does it. Every team does it. And
no, they don't.
Honestly, 100% honesty. And the people are calling out the Dodgers do it, the Yankees do it, the Red Sox do it. If I were a Dodgers fan and I heard that and I realized how good your offense is, I would be a little worried that they did it. Me as a Giants fan at that time, I was like, there's no way the Giants are doing it. So I'm clear.
If they do, they're doing it wrong.
Yeah, exactly. If they do that, then like, dude, we're shittier than I even thought. Like, so like I don't know.
The biggest part of this fuck you of the week that I want everyone to understand and why I'm so angry about it is there's the evidence that they cheated, right? And now we have the first season, although it was only 60 games, of them not having the code breaker, not having the trash cans, and watching every single one of those players, their averages plummet.
Yes.
So you have the evidence, now you have more supporting evidence, and at every turn you're still willing to deny that something was wrong. And so, it takes a special kind of jackass to just disregard that.
Not only that, but just to go after, well, the Boston and Mookie Betts did it, so the Dodgers are tainted. First of all, Boston did not. You're not reading reports, and you're not actually. Obviously, you don't cover the sport or you're covering the sport and are choosing to put blinders on, because what the Red Sox did and what the Astros did are two completely different ball games. Okay, Astros relaying signs in real time so they know what pitch is coming. Red Sox picked up sequences from cameras that shouldn't have been there but weren't in real time. It was for after the game to look at sequences, which is what every team does. They look at pitches and they try to pick up sequences. The Red Sox just did it with a more high-def camera, or that was their thing, and they had more of an advantage. And it's like, oh, that's not really cool. Stop doing that. But it didn't also really change the outcome of games.
The investigation into the Red Sox cleared Mookie Betts of any wrongdoing. He didn't get immunity, They just cleared him.
No.
So he didn't fucking sell out anyone and get immunity. He did nothing wrong. So,
And it pains me to say this. Why don't you look at Mookie Betts' numbers right now and tell me if he was getting that that help?
Yeah,
if you want to say that about maybe JD Martinez or someone like that who's struggling, evidence would maybe support you, even though it's wrong. You know what I'm saying? Like that's not what came out on the report. You can make a claim that the report was wrong or they're trying to cover shit up or whatever. That could be your claim. But if you're going on what's on reports, not the same thing.
Yeah.
And Mookie Betts is possibly in it. I don't think he'll win it because I think Freddie Freeman has better numbers and even Manny Machado is killing it more this year.
I think Freddie Freeman will win the MVP.
He that's what I'm saying. Like he's got, but Mookie's up there. He's top 5 for sure. So Eric Rowe, fuck that guy, and you can quote me on that. And as far as us not having a lot of followers, what?
I said, and also fuck Josh Reddick and his wife,
bitch.
Who will defend him on anything.
Well, she's gotta back him. Don't say fuck the wife. She's probably a nice lady.
Okay, fine. We can cut that part out.
Just say fuck. No, we can say what we're saying, but Josh Reddick, you can go suck a dick. I even forgot that guy's name again. Radio show Houston guy. You suck. Fuck you. I don't care that we have 1,000 followers to your 17,000 followers. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, it's not high school. We'll be all right.
Thank you for listening to
fuck the entire city of Houston.
Yeah, fuck you. Your Mexican food is trash. You cheat. James Harden's the worst thing to happen to basketball. Fuck you, Houston.
As always, this episode was brought to you by Renovation Candle Company. Fall candles are out now. Holiday candles are going to be coming soon. The holiday season is coming faster than we expected. So get on it. Also,
make sure to use Benches.
Promo code Benches for 20% off your entire order.
You don't know what to get your aunt that you hate that says racist shit on Facebook? At least give her some candles from Renovation Candle Company.
No, don't get her anything. These candles are for people you like. Get them for gifts for your significant other.
Well, maybe we'll make Renovation Candle Company make something that's like a fall classic candle that just smells like shit. You can buy those for your racist relatives. But until then, just buy it for the aunts that don't say racist shit online. They just love you and knit you sweaters and shit.
Yeah, it smells like the city of Houston, and no one wants to smell that.
Thank you guys so much for listening. Make sure you make sure to subscribe to us on YouTube and your favorite podcasting platform. Please leave a review to help us grow. Follow us on Twitter at BenchesClearedP and on Instagram at BenchesClearedPodcast.
Make sure to follow us so people with shitty radio shows can't bully us anymore.
We're bullied. We're so mean.
Cyberbullying.
No, fuck that guy. I'll kick his 17,000 followers in the nuts. Fuck that guy. You can quote me on that. Fuck Aubrey Huff. Thank you guys for listening. And we will see you after the Dodgers series with hopefully someone that they're playing next. Or we're just going to listen to Tyler cry all day. Thank you for listening. See you on Tuesday.